Hey, it's Dudley and Jason from Hogville.net's Arkansas Diamond Report. If you're looking for some great tacos and a place to call the hogs, Torchys is the place. We will air the Arkansas Diamond Report every Friday at 11:30 a.m. at the Rogers location until the end of the baseball season. Join us for some damn good tacos and baseball. Go Hogs! Everybody, welcome to the Arkansas Diamond Report here on Hogville.net, live with Dudley Dawson. I'm your host, Jason Patterson. I want to thank you all for jumping on with us today. Also, make sure to stop by your Torchys Tacos here in Rogers. Also in Fayetteville as well, just off of MLK. Also want to highlight this, their Tokyo Drifter Taco, the taco of the month. It is a pretty stinking good taco. It's got some teriyaki green chili pork with some crispy wonton strips, sweet and sour veggie slaw, sesame sriracha mayo with some cilantro and just a dash of lime. So make sure to stop by any of your Torchies here in Northwest Arkansas and grab a Tokyo Drifter. And I also want to thank Leighton for all of him and Marcus and everything that they've done for us here at Torchys and provided a home for us a little bit. And it's been real nice. And make sure to stop by any of these two locations here. So my friend Dudley, this is going to be a little spicy today. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. The baseball team is not. State of the Hogs is not good right now. This is the first time that we've done this show that I come in here not knowing if in 2 weeks we're going to be doing this show. Because I thought Arkansas would be at a point where they would certainly win the regional, win the super regional, having them both at home. Obviously, there's still going to be a top 8 seed, kind of locked into that, but there's problems right now. And yes, we can talk about the SEC conference tournament games being meaningless, but I think you get in a situation where they've now lost 3 in a row. They've lost 4 of 5, 5 of 7. It's becoming a habit, and it wasn't very inspiring play down there in their 2 games, and they lost 2 of 3 at Texas A&M. Did win the SEC West crown. That's a big deal, but you got to be a little bit worried about where they're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, you commit 3 errors yesterday against Kentucky, of which 2 of those were really on one, I guess, instance where you had a guy on first, Hagan throws to first, sails it to the tarp, and then Hudson White sails a ball that goes just left of JSL and goes into left field, and they score one of those 2 runs there in the first inning. Another one was a trading out for a run type situation. But, there was a superior lack of confidence the entire 2 games that they were down there. And, yes, only 2. Mason Choate had a really good tweet out there.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. That Arkansas went 0-2 in Hoovver, and they've only made the SEC the College World Series twice, 2012, 2022. With this lack of confidence, I know that this team's talked about, oh, yeah, we'll just turn it on. This was the weekend to turn it on, and they did nothing.
Yeah, it's a malaise right now. I think that's the accurate term to look at it. And now, don't get me wrong, they may come out and they'll have a sense of urgency on next Friday against whoever they're playing, whether it's Friday afternoon or Friday night. And I'm sure Hagan will be rested and ready to go. I suspect they'll win that first game. But they have gotten into a mentality, and certainly the fans have come on board with that. It's time to tick it up a notch, and you just didn't see that this week. You saw a team that went down there, was knew it had a top 8 seed, and didn't play with a sense of urgency, and didn't play really outside of Peyton Holt and a few other guys. Really didn't look like they wanted to be down there.
No, a buddy of mine that was at Hoovver, he was telling me, he said this team, the body language was, we went out, we hung out with each other after hours, didn't care what time we got to bed, rolled out onto the field. And, I mean, for a better term, it looked like they just didn't give a shit this weekend.
I think that's an accurate assessment as well. They better give one coming up this next weekend. I am excited to get to postseason play. I go to the SEC tournament every once in a while, but it's sort of meaningless putting a bunch of money into it to me.
Yeah.
Now, next year might be a little different story when it's single elimination, 16 teams, adding in Oklahoma and Texas. You can, get a hotel, and when you lose, come on back home. It didn't have to be a run down there. So I'm looking forward to that. Probably will try to go next year. But it is really something that, the conference just puts there in Hoovver and has it go on. And it's a glorified practice for those teams, the four teams especially, and really probably, Georgia and Mississippi State as well. Although Mississippi State had some quality wins, down there. But it's one of those things that if you are having to play your way into the tournament, then you take it very seriously. But it seems to me all four of the top seeds who all lost Wednesday all said, well, whatever, and
Yeah.
you don't throw your best pitcher on Wednesday and and all that. You're setting it up as you go along. And again, I don't want to act like I've thrown the season away, but I also don't want to act like everything's Niedermeyer, in Animal
Yeah.
House. Everything is fine. It's not.
I feel like the age old adage, it's fine, everything's just fine. No, it's not fine. You feel like, I'm not saying that the house is burning down around you right now, but I can tell you this much: you can see smoke. You can see some smoke, because the lack of concentration over the last 7 games has been baffling. You look at how this team played in March. They were dialed in. You looked at how they played in half of April. They were dialed in. And then you get to May, and it's kind of we'll be okay. Let's let June roll around. We're going to take May off. That's what I kind of feel like this team is kind of done. And it's got to be giving Dave Van Horn headaches. It's got to be giving Matt Hobbs headaches. And by the way, if I see another called strike 3 with a bat sitting on the shoulders, I'm going to lose my friggin' mind.
There was a lot of that, and that's just another element of being ready to play, is knowing the strike zone, being aggressive in the strike zone. We saw several plays. Spunky Cole Messina, obviously from South Carolina, just one of the guys who's on a tear there in the tournament
right now.
Yeah, and a couple of other guys that were really carrying their teams. LSU hit up and down. I thought LSU's run was about to end last night, and then they came storming back, and they're playing the best of anybody right now in the conference. And they're going to be a number 3 seed, and whoever gets them in their regional is like, oh, thanks, because they're hot right now. And with Luke Holman pitching so well, and Gage Jumper, I think that's his last name. The pitching well. They've got 2 starters that can get you going. I will say one thing I did like to see down there was the coming out of the bullpen, getting everybody some work.
Yeah.
Mason Molina, it appears to me, is back right.
He did great yesterday.
And I would be stunned if he doesn't start the second game in the regional now, after the way he's pitched these last few outings. Mm-hmm. Brady came in, gave you one really good inning, and then kind of got away from him the next inning. Mm-hmm. Gage Wood gave you some innings. Will McIntyre gave in. You get a lot of people in there. You gave them a lot of work. I think that was a key thing to do. If you'd have just had one game and been done and out of it, I would have been a little worried about things. But I think you got your staff, who you're going to throw the following weekend, the innings that they needed to get. And it is better to win every contest that you set out to win. I once almost got kicked out of a Fayetteville Youth Center basketball game as a coach because I was keeping score in a 4th grade game, and they said, you don't keep score. And I said, we don't play unless we keep score.
Exactly. That's the whole sport.
Yeah, I mean that's just a thing, and so it is important when you show up to be ready to play, even if you don't have that sense of urgency. You need to be ready to play, and they just weren't there this week, and it was from word go in each game, especially yesterday's.
Yeah, you looked at Hagen Smith. He took the bump, and you could tell he he wasn't quite right, not mentally, but physically. He was out there. He was dripping with sweat. It looked like he was struggling just a little bit. I know that Hoovver's not the coolest place in the world, but it's also at 9:30 in the morning. It's not the hottest place in the world, but you just could tell that he looked a little drained. He looked a little just off. Brady kind of the same way. Mason came in. He looked more comfortable. Moving forward with this weekend, and we're going to get back to Bob M has got a really great comment that I'm going to throw up here in just a minute, but we're going to talk about the pitching for a second. We'll get to the hitting in just a minute. I think that you almost have to go Hagen on Friday and then TBA for the rest of the weekend, because you don't know exactly what you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to have Ben come out or Brady or Mason, however that's going to line up, because at this point, I feel like outside of Hagen Smith, this entire rotation is kind of in flux.
Yeah, and, it is a tried and true fact that whoever wins the first 2 games in its regional has a decided edge, in terms of what you're doing in trying to win the regional. And they're going to have to do everything they can to go win those first 2 games and figure it out from that point on. If you have Hagen go 6 and you need somebody to come in, maybe you turn to Geikel and just let him finish that off, and then try to get out of there and be able to have Johnny Holstaff ready for Saturday's game.
And they can do that. They can Johnny Holstaff. They got a couple of guys that can give you 2 or 3 innings, and you can piecemeal that for a full 9 innings if need be. I mean, that's luckily, that's what they can do. But here's the problem. Outside of your starting pitching, I feel like the middle relievers, that first guy that comes in, has had more problems than not, because that's where the bulk of the runs have been coming from. And whenever you're playing from behind, this team is not built like that. This team is built for playing with you or playing ahead. Whenever they're playing from behind, that's when we've all seen where they've started to have a lot of trouble, because then they start pressing at the plate a lot more.
Yeah, and they haven't given up a lot of home runs over the course of the season, but they have here lately. And, they're just putting the ball in a zone too much. Now, I will say that I thought the guys behind the plate really were not in a, I would have liked to have seen a box on that game like they do on the major league games. But that was consistent for all teams. That was not an excuse for Arkansas. It's just consistent for all teams. Yeah. I'm usually not a guy who gets on the umpires and referees. I realize how tough that job that is, how they get just abuse left and right. But I did thought they were consistently inconsistent this weekend or this week. Because Arkansas didn't make it to the weekend.
No.
But I just think that, maybe they think they can flip a switch. It's not that easy. And you do have the at least 2 or 3 things going for you. You get your home crowd. You get Hagen Smith on the bump. And you've got Dave Van Horn as your head coach. I will say that there were several times when he looked at analytics this weekend on pinch hitters, and they went, even though your left-hander is not supposed to bat against a left-hander, that's what the splits showed. Especially in South Carolina, and they were able to do that. They scored 11 runs. But as Dave said, 11 runs when they had the opportunity to score 20. I mean, they left people all over the bases. Yeah. And if you weren't, they should have won the first game. Obviously, get it to within 6-5. And you had, not in the final inning, but I believe it was the 7th, you had first and third with 1 out. You got to get that run home. And Villalobos struck out and somebody else popped out. Those are the things that keep you from playing deep in June if you don't get it done. RISP. Runners left in score position. You got to get them in.
So I want to bring this up really quick, because this kind of catapults us into this next part here. It says, if DVA stubbornly keeps Diggs in the lineup, we're in trouble. Yeah, you are. because he's not producing. And there's also other guys in that lineup that are not producing right now. Um, I want to get what's your take on this, Dudley?
I don't like him in the leadoff row. I understand having him in the lineup, but I don't like him in the leadoff row. I know that he draws a lot of walks, and that's certainly something you want up there. But I'm just a Peyton Holt at the top guy. It's an energy level. It's a frenetic activity that he brings to the game, whether it's offensively or defensively. Dave has won a ton more games than I have. He knows what he's doing. But if you just ask my opinion, I would rather him move down in the lineup until he gets it going. We are all sitting here waiting for it to get going. He's a wonderful human being, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, just a great kid. Takes time for the fans, especially the little kids. But I know it's just driving him and his family nuts, and the fans may be frustrated, but they're nowhere near as frustrated as he is. And it is, I think there is something to the injury, it playing in the same way it did Peyton Stovall, but also it's just not working. And I know you may have put him up at the top, try to get him more at bats to get him going this weekend, but I just feel like you need some fire up there to start off the game. And I believe that's a Peyton Holt thing, if that's what the splits tell you to do.
Yep, and this is this is just something that I've thought about too. You've tried the quantity, trying to get him the at bats. Now let's try the quality. Stuff him in that 7-8 hole. Have him get on base. Get his confidence up a little bit. If you put him down further in the order, and you kind of surround him with some guys that have a little bit of pop, that 7, 8, 9 spot, it might help him take off. And at this point, I think he needs quality versus quantity because, like you said, Dave's tried the quantity part. He's tried to get him more at bats. It's not working.
Yeah,
got to try something else.
And here's the thing: to go back to the original point from on the question, keeping him in the lineup, I get where you're coming from, but find me somebody right now, that's hitting enough to be in that spot. I mean, who do you depend on? I mean, do you depend on a guy that you've had on your team just a little bit? You had a guy that has done it for 3 years. You keep saying he's going to get it done. Maybe he doesn't, but I understand keeping him in the lineup. I just don't think he should be up there at the top right now. Hudson White is obviously on fire. He's got to be in the top of that lineup.
Yep.
If you don't want to bat Holtz or you're, if it's a right-handed pitcher, left-handed pitcher, whatever, put Stovall back. They were playing great when Stovall was up there. I know you wanted to move him down to give him the opportunity to get more RBIs. What's happened is he's getting up there with nobody on, batting third.
Yeah,
and he's been a catalyst in getting hits. I mean, at one point I think he was 5 of 7 in those 2 games. Don't know what he ended up with, but he gets on base. He takes a lot of pitches. He's a threat. Give me a Peyton at the top of the lineup.
Yep.
I don't care which one. Just give me one of Peyton at the top of the lineup.
If your name is Peyton, please stand up. I personally, and I know that this probably might not be the biggest or the most popular idea, but put JSL up at first, batting first, and then have Peyton Holt right after him, and then maybe Peyton Stovall after that. Try something where you've got some guys that are going to put the bat on the ball and make good contact and give yourself a chance, because at this point there's a lot of guys up there that are not giving themselves a chance at the plate because they're just watching pitches go right by them.
Yeah, and here's the problem. You're almost 60 games into the season, and we're discussing this. 60 games into the season, you should have that lineup. And I know it's been a matter of guys not hitting and guys being available due to injury and different things, but you shouldn't be we shouldn't be having these discussions right now. And I know it mostly comes out if they had gone there and showed up in the first game, won, and then lost yesterday and lost today and played the way that, they should have, or at least showed up and put all the effort out there. And I think we can tell who's ready to play. I'm not going to call out names and all that, but I do think there's several guys that are there and ready to go from pitch one, and some that, as you said, the body language was just horrible. And I'm not my best at 9:30 a.m., but I am at 4:30, and they didn't show up for the 4:30 game either. I'm not going to blame it on the time. I'm going to blame it on the mentality they went in with, and it comes from the top on down. We as the media make out. I mean, I've heard the word meaningless, and I used the word meaningless many times talking about the SEC tournament in these last couple of weeks, and it looks like they believed us.
Yeah, seriously. Also, Bob,
here's I've got this College World Series shirt on for 2022, and I was looking at the teams on it. There's Auburn and Ole Miss are on here. They're not even going to make the tournament.
No,
it's and it's consistently. Coach Van Horn in Arkansas has had an elite program, but man, when you get so close and have the expectations, you don't feed the monster. It's valid to have criticism.
It is. I know that. I want to bring this up too, really quick. On the other side of the break, I want to talk about some of those expectations that fans have here in Razorback Nation on Hogville. And if anybody that roots for Arkansas, I want to talk about those expectations, but we're going to just go.
And I'm going to talk about the question that's down there too when we get back.
Sounds good. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hey, it's Dudley and Jason from Hogville.net's Arkansas Diamond Report. If you're looking for some great tacos and a place to call the hogs, Torchys is the place. We will air the Arkansas Diamond Report every Friday at 11:30 a.m. at their Rogers location until the end of the baseball season. Join us for some damn good tacos and baseball. Go Hogs!
All right, everybody, when we're back, I want to thank Torchys again, our sponsor here at Torchys and Rogers. Want to thank them for everything that they've done for us. Make sure to come by and check out the full-service bar. You've got your margaritas. Hey, it's Labor Day weekend. I want to say something about Labor Day weekend here at the end of the show as well. But, come by, get a margarita. You got a long weekend this weekend. I mean, you got Friday, if you got Friday off, plus also Monday as well. And, come by, stop for some great chips and queso. You can have the queso as hot or as mild as you want. Make sure to also check out their taco of the month, which is the Tokyo Drifter. And, Dudley, how was that?
Now my wife has had the Tokyo Drifter. She's had it twice now. I am enamored with the breakfast tacos. I'm going to get another one here. I'm going down the list of the 4 different breakfast tacos they have, and I think I've had 6 or 7 different tacos that they've had here. Every one of them has been great, and they've all filled me up, which takes a while.
Yeah. Well, let's get to Bob's comment here really quick. It says that if he thinks that Dave will start Molina, will you think Dave will start Molina or Wood on Friday and then bring Hagan on 2? I don't think that's going to happen.
It's the age-old question, and I certainly understand it because we've talked about how important Game 2 is, in a tournament. Yeah. But, man, you talk about somebody that would get vilified if Molina went out there and pitched as he has before his relief stints, his last 2 relief stints, or if you threw Gage Wood out there, who has given you some good innings, here lately, but the ball was flying out of the ballpark, on some of his pitches. I get it. I think it's something he'll consider. I think he'll look at the analytics and the splits. But I'm telling you, I'm pretty confident in myself, and I've called cocky and all this back in the day. I have no self-esteem issues, but boy, it would take some big ones, to take that chance when you've got the nation's best pitcher. You got to win both games.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. You got to win both of those games, not just the first one. And so if you're going to scrape by and you try to go somebody other than Hagan and you lose that first game, now the season's basically over. It's going to take one hell of a run from the rest of the weekend. So I get it. I certainly would consider it, but in the end, I just don't think, unless the splits just told me everything was great, then that I would do that. To be honest, Brady Tigard has had the second best year. He should be fully rested now. He's supposed to be a top-notch guy. If you were going to start somebody else, I would start him. But man, I would then I would have Hagan if he doesn't get it going, have Hagan coming out of the bullpen. And I wouldn't keep him for game 2. I can't keep saying, but I'm going to, how important the first game is in getting a win there.
It is. It really is. And you saw a little bit of a different approach this week, or the first of these 2 games that Arkansas was in. First game against South Carolina, it was more of a Johnny Holstaff, going to put Ben Bybee out there, which a lot of people were asking why he didn't start Hagan in the first game. Well, let's face it. Ben Bybee, this is a normal start day for him in the middle of the week, and that's the reason why Dave started him, because it didn't throw him off of his rotation between him and Colin Fisher. This was your Tuesday, Wednesday guys. So Ben went as his normal day on Wednesday and then got the rest of the bullpen some work.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Hagan looked tired anyway, pitching on Thursday. You would have run him out there a day earlier. He pitched last Thursday, obviously, in a showdown with Texas A&M's Ryan Prager. And so you've got to be careful not only with what you're doing on short rest, but also, I mean, the kid's about to be a top 7 draft pick.
Yeah.
Make lots of money. If you run him out there and something happens, you'd never forgive yourself. There's a reason. Now, it wasn't this way back in the day when Bob Gibson and others went out there and had more complete games than they did wins. They take their health into consideration, and you would have been rushing him out there. And you've got to be good enough. You've got to be good enough to win games without the guy out there all the time.
Yeah.
We've seen, Kevin Kopps is a unicorn.
God, yeah, he was.
You could bring him in, anytime, whatever. But that's a different. He's a different animal, as they say. You got to be careful. All the decisions that work out are fantastic. All that don't, you're stupid.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I really feel like, after Gage came in yesterday, gave up those 4 runs. I really feel like Dave understood where his team was, and that's why you saw Brady Tiger come in. That's why you saw Mason Molina come in. He wanted to make sure that he got those guys a little bit of work, because
at 6-0, you were going down. Now, obviously, they got it back to 6-4. At 6-4, had the opportunity to even get closer, but couldn't do that. And then you go up and give up another 2-run home run. And hey, here's something that has become an epidemic all of a sudden. Hit somebody, give up a 2-run home run. I think that's happened 6 or 7 times in the past 3 weeks.
It's just mind-boggling. It really is. So, you had Brady, you said, like we talked about, he came in and he didn't set the world on fire.
Looked great for 1 inning, and then hit a guy and gave up a home run.
I've never seen a pitching staff go from not heralded. Let's take this whole business of them being great on paper off for a second. The body of work that they've produced up until the last 3 weeks have been exactly who we thought they were, as Herm Edwards used to say. Now they're not exactly who they thought they were.
They are still leading the league in ERA, but it's gone down, a significant amount from when they were at their apex.
Yeah.
And before both Brady, Tigert, and Mason Molina started to lose control, we're not efficient. We're throwing 86 pitches and 4 innings, 5 innings. Not, there were 2 weeks in a row. Neither one of them got more than 3 innings out of their 2 starts. And that's why I think, they started reconfiguring some roles with Molina. They gave Tigert some rest. They weren't as sharp as they had been, but can you be through a whole season? No. Hagan's on a record-setting pace. He gave up 2 runs the other day, and I was like, well, what's wrong with him? He still struck out 4 batters. 2 innings. He made that. He threw the ball away. Maybe they don't score if he doesn't throw that ball away. And I love Peyton Stovall. Again, great kid. Yeah. I know I say that a lot. They're young men now, not really kids. But let's just be honest. Mike Irwin had a X or tweet about it. He's not there as good defensively as he has been later. There are a couple of plays that we expect him to make, and he expects himself to make, that weren't called errors. They were called hits. but we expect that to be made, and those factored into Hagan getting his first loss. And that's it's interesting. You could tell, as you said, something was wrong there. Too hot, not ready to go. All that he did not. He did not have the smirk that he has when he's out there pitching great. He looked uncomfortable on the mound, and he has done this a few times. He'll start off throwing too many balls and then correct himself real quick. You know what? He'd walk 3 guys in 1 inning and struck out 3. In that same inning. But it just wasn't going to work. And Coach Van Horn was on the radio show before the game saying, "I'm only going to send him out there for a little bit, 35 to 40 pitches." And that's exactly what happened. You just expected those 35 to 40 pitches to last him 3 or 4 innings. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to flip this here for just a minute. We last night went on live with and I'm kind of getting away from baseball now for a minute altogether. Last night it came out that all 5 power conferences have signed off on the antitrust settlement lawsuit with the 3 defendants in a landmark case that's going to pay previous athletes $2.7 billion, and then also a total of $15 billion over a 10-year period, where now the schools are going to be directly paying the players, in a complete seismic shift on how universities conduct their business with how athletes are compensated now.
Yeah, it's as you said, it's landmark, and I was explaining it to my beautiful wife Petra last night that there's no use in even using the word amateurism anymore. No. Now, I will admit I'm trying to find out a way how I can co-opt this from being a manager and graduate assistant coach for Arkansas basketball back in the day. I'm trying to find a way to get some money out of this $2.8 billion that are spread around. And it's, not everybody's going to get a huge chunk, but it's going to be, it'll make your mortgage payment or something,
Yeah.
And, I've always said, no matter which forum I'm in, that when I was involved with the Arkansas athletic program, I didn't think kids should get paid. I thought they got, books, tuition, the opportunity, housing and all that. I thought that was enough. But things have changed in 40 years since I first came to college here, and the money has just gotten unreal. And I, over the course of that time, have changed my opinion that now I don't like the way NIL was instituted. I don't like the way the transfer portal was instituted. But what's it going to do for me to complain about it? It ain't going to change.
Yeah.
You might be a little bit more definitive on how they're going to do things, and I think this case will, kind of set some law guidelines and stuff down. But yeah, it to me now, in this modern society that we used to, or that we have now, where capitalism is a thing everybody wants to do, it makes sense to let the players get rewarded for their effort. When you are having coaches get an ungodly amount too.
I mean, look at Kirby Smart, $13 million. That's just. I was talking with Greg Thomas.
Coach about to make $8 million here.
Hey, yep. Yeah, I was talking with Greg Thomas this morning a little bit. Him and I were kind of going back and forth about this.
Great dude.
Excellent guy, and I want to get his perspective.
I'm going to be rereading his book this summer as we get ready for football season. I'm going to make that a traditional yearly thing.
A multi-award-winning book, and no doubting Thomas the Hog Whisperer. You guys should go check that out. And I want to bring Greg on here in the next week or two, because I want to see. I want him to kind of convey more of what his response was. I think this is going to be a great conversation for us to have. To get an athlete's perspective of this. But in a nutshell, what him and I were kind of talking about was, when in the 80s, whenever you started to see more capitalism get injected into college sports, with ESPN starting to really start to get big, you had athletes that were still out there with only thing that they were getting was room, board, and tuition paid for. And I'm not sure, Dudley, were they getting stipends at the time?
Yes.
Okay. And
in
then
fact,
outside of
I used to get one. I mean, seriously.
yeah,
I thought it was a wonderful thing, but I didn't think they should have gone all out back then like they did now. But again, I've changed my mind over that.
and you know, Greg made a great point. He said ESPN got big, and the university started making more money as they started renegotiating TV deals. And I'll get into that in just a second. So why didn't the university pump a little bit more in to the student athletes as those contracts were coming up? And the university said, we don't have to, so we're not going to, and you're not going to get any money, and that's just how it's going to be.
Well, some of them did, but it was under the table instead of over. And those were programs that were highly successful in several different sports. And yeah, I mean, there was some stuff there, but now it's all out, you know, above board for most of the deal. I mean, this whole thing with Florida and Billy Napier and the quarterback who's been committed to like 6 different places and been different places.
Jaden Rashada.
I mean, that's nuts. As I said on the show earlier this week, I've never talked to the young man, never talked to any of his people. I don't profess to know whether he's a good kid, bad kid, whatever. Well, what I do know is that you're bouncing all over the place. Yeah, and it appears to me that if you were the starter someplace, this thing wouldn't be going on. Now, I don't give Billy Napier and his staff a pass, and their collective or whatever, you know, because they're the ones who really got this. I mean, I thought it was nuts back when they were offering that, and then you go into it, and they were offering it to him, but you know, wasn't going to give it to him.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Got some sirens here in the background, but you know, as a fan, and I want to bring this up before we get out of here. As a fan, you're already getting triple charged, really, to watch college professional sports. One, you're paying for your TV package. You're paying for the apps that you can be also watching all these sports on, and you're paying for the tickets to go watch these sports as well. So you're getting triple charged. That triple charge is now going to go up because the university is not going to use the reworked TV rights deals that they just signed and take that out of their coffers to pay these players. It's going to come off of the backs of fans. They're going to expect the fans to pay that increase, and you know what's going to happen? They're going to do it. No questions asked.
Yeah, and
because it's how it's always been.
Yeah, here's my thing on that. I have so many friends that, you know, are fans and complain about the tickets and all that. Here's the deal, man. It's a very simple decision. Either pay the tickets and go to the games or don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to let everybody know your opinion on this. I mean, I know that's kind of the X and Facebook and Instagram and all that, you know, everybody complains on that stuff, but I know that's, you know, it's cool to be negative, but I hate I mean, I didn't tell somebody last night, I was pissed off because there was no Law and Order. You know,
yeah,
I watched the Celtics. I was pretty happy about that. You know, they had the day date with the wife, and I'm sorry Arkansas lost. You know, for the kids, their families, the coaches, and all that. But basically, I got 2 days to do some stuff now around the house that I wasn't going to have because they were going to be playing. So that's always been my mentality. I don't see much reason in wasting my oxygen talking about something that's not going to change and I'm not going to fix.
Yep. You know, and here's the thing too. If you're a fan and you're pissed off about this and you're complaining on X,
that's
and
cool.
You're also the same.
It's cool that you're upset. It's cool that you got expectations. You have every right to be critical of Arkansas softball team coming down the stretch, Arkansas's baseball team coming down the stretch, Arkansas's basketball team for the season they had. There are all valid criticisms there, but complaining about ticket sales when you know that's how you got these teams, helped get these teams to where they're at, you know, in elite status. And by the way, I'm going to do some throw softball out there. I'm going to do follow up on their season and what they've got coming in. They've got 3 fantastic freshman pitchers coming in. They're going to be all right. You know that's a tough ending to the season.
Yes.
Their bats went away, obviously, but you know, they're going to be an exciting team next year. They'll have some of the main people back, and a unbelievable freshman class coming in.
Yep. You also saw that Nikki McGaffin also has entered the transfer portal, and good luck to her. She kind of saw the writing on the wall, like you said, with the 3 incoming freshmen, and so it was more of one of those numbers games for her. And I don't blame her one bit. No, I also want to give a special shout out to Hannah Gamble, also Nia Carter, Kylie Halverson, Rylan Hedgecock. Those ladies have really put a lot into the program, and I feel like they got out of what they put into that program. And with a player like Hannah Gamble, for instance, that is a kid from BB that is the face of this program, like Coach Deifel had said, those you can say all you want, but it still doesn't fully encapsulate what she's meant to this program and to the fans also with the Arkansas softball.
Yeah, and I want to second those thoughts. I've always said that Bree Ellis is my favorite quote on campus. That's men's and women's sport. And Hannah Gamble, because of the way she plays third base. And obviously, my favorite player of all time was Brooks Robinson, named my son after him. And so I've always loved great plays at the hot corner. Hannah Gamble was without a doubt my favorite player on this campus in terms of any sport, in the way she handled adversity, handled success. I think I think the coolest moment of the year was when she hit that home run down at Georgia, did the little dance where she got home plate and then stomped on it. I was thinking, that's me back when I was in high school.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. So, I just want to say congratulations to those ladies. Unfortunately, the season did end the way it did. But I feel like they should be celebrated for everything that they have put into this
top four finish in the SEC, for both the baseball and softball teams. That's no small achievement. And the season, some may be out there thinking to this point the season's been a failure if you don't win it all, or you don't get to College World Series, the Women's College World Series. But that can't be the end all be all on how you gauge or grade a season. You can be disappointed, and you can say they didn't reach your expectations, but there was a lot of great stuff that these two programs have done over the course of this season. And both were ranked in the top 10 to top 15 all season.
Yep. One last quick question from Bob before we kind of wrap up here. It says, Tiger season's gone south. Do you think there's any chance he returns next year in order to prove his draft stock?
Probably not. Now, he may up and surprise me that's happened before. He's not a top 100 pick in MLB pipeline. But, he's had some injuries. Your shelf life, I won't rule it out, but I would be surprised if he does, because I think he's going to be drafted. There's 20 rounds now. And that's going to be interesting. We're going to be down there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for the college football or the SEC media days, and at the same time, the MLB draft and the MLB All-Star game are going to go on. So that's going to be a fun week.
Yep, it is. It really is. So a couple final thoughts. First off, I want to say congratulations to Patrick Wicklander. He was promoted to AAA the Durham Bulls. And so big shout out to that guy, because he's worked his tail off. He's overcame some things in the minor leagues. And he's still, as Coach Deifel says, he's staying the course. To talk to his dad a week or two ago. And he's really fighting and battling. So, happy to see that he's hit the AAA circuit. And do you have any thoughts on that real quick, Dudley?
Yeah, we had him out at, in one of the players forum shows that we did at the Grove, and he was great. And, he's battled through a lot of stuff and been able to get there. Also, Heston Kjerstad has done everything he can at AAA. Yeah. Baltimore he's blocked by Baltimore and a lot of young players. By the way, Cardinals swept them this week. That was pretty cool. But here's the thing: go ahead and trade him to the St. Louis Cardinals if you're not going to play. We'll find you some. I mean, I don't want to trade Ryan Heisley, but if that's the deal you have to do, we need some pop in that outfield. And the kid didn't get a chance, didn't get enough bats. But when he came up, that's just the thing. He's got some free Heston, and let him come to St. Louis.
Free Heston Kjerstad. So, and just this last thought before we get out of here, it was Memorial Day weekend this weekend. I want to say thank you to all the military personnel that have committed themselves to the service, also paid the ultimate sacrifice, also the sacrifice that their families have given to as well. And I'm ex-Air Force firefighter, and whenever I was in, it was a very special time, and I still keep in contact with the guys that I went through basic. I only spent 6-7 weeks or 8 weeks with those guys, but you still have those relationships that you build because it's such a team building process, just going through basic and then also through tech school and AIT school, and also with getting to your first base and making those relationships with folks that you live with on base. And it's a very special, tight-knit, small community. And I want to say thank you to all of them for their service, also the families for the commitment that they made, and also happy happy Memorial Day to all of those folks out there this weekend.
Yeah, Memorial Day is, sometimes I think it's overlooked a little bit. It's not just the day that the NCAA tournament baseball brackets are released. They do that every year, though. But it's one of those things that, having had people in my family who have served, that's the ultimate sacrifice. I try to come up with something different and to saying thank you for your service, because I know they hear that a lot. But that is the main thought.
Yep.
We appreciate what you did for us that some of us couldn't do, and some of us chose not to, I guess.
Yep. I want to say also a special thanks to my brother. He was also in the Air Force. My grandfather, he was in the Air Force, and then also my uncle was in the Marines, and my other uncle that was in the Navy Reserves. So got a lot of military in my family too, and so I want to say thanks to all of them as well.
Yeah. Which, by the way, just I'm sure a lot of people know, but 11 a.m. on ESPN2 Monday morning is the announcement of the brackets. You'll see Sunday night. 16, they'll release the 16 hosting sites, of which obviously Arkansas will be one. And I think that most projections, this is not me saying this, not my opinion, I'm basing it on every projection thing that I've seen. Arkansas will be a top 8 seed, and it appears the SEC could get 5 of those top 8 seeds if Georgia goes ahead and gets that 8th seed, as some are projecting.
Yep. And
that's nuts.
It is because you think, when was the last time the SEC had that many teams in the top 8? I don't remember. I can't remember, honestly. Not
off the top of my head. Now I'll say that I wasn't ready to play at 11.
Dudley, thank you for joining me today. Everybody also here at Torchys, go check out Full Service Bar. Go grab a margarita, get some chips and queso, get this weekend started off right. Hit up the Tokyo Drifter, also the breakfast tacos, like you have very eloquently have.
I'm doing research, man. Doing research for everybody.
Always some research and development. Develop the palate with the research. So, for everybody, thank you guys for joining us today here at Torchys and also here on Hogville.net. Make sure to subscribe and like Hogville.net's YouTube page. We are growing. We have grown over 50% over the last year. And the only reason why is because of the content that we're producing. It's been quality, and you can depend on it every time. So make sure to hit the like and subscribe, and that whenever we go live, you guys can also jump in with us too. For Dudley, I'm Jason. Y'all, thank you for jumping on this with us today, and go Hogs.
Hey, it's Dudley and Jason from Hogville.net's Arkansas Diamond Report. If you're looking for some great tacos and a place to call the Hogs, Torchys is the place. We will air the Arkansas Diamond Report every Friday at 11:30 a.m. at their Rogers location until the end of the baseball season. Join us for some damn good tacos and baseball. Go Hogs!